వాళ్ళంతా కూడా మీరే చేశారు
కాదు సార్,
మేమంతా బయట మేమంతా చేశారు.
నా అదృష్టం ఏంటంటే మీతో అప్పుడు కలిసి ప్రయాణం స్టూడెంట్గా రావాలంటే నేను రావట్లేదు డిప్లొమా కూర్చొని చదువుకుంటారే ఉంటారు కదా.
ప్రొఫెషనల్గా చైర్మన్
Check one. Testing one. Check. 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 Testing. Testing one, two, three. Testing one, two, three. Check. Check. Three. Testing. Check. Check.
For the two-day national conference Tattva, Beyond Compliance Towards Excellence, organized by the members in Industry and Business Committee of ICAI and proudly hosted by our own Vijayawada branch SARC of ICAI.
It is indeed a pleasure to welcome you all to Vijayawada. And I must say, the climate this morning is pleasantly cool and truly cooperative, setting the professional topics like assessments, litigations, or even recent developments. How do you usually clear them?
Honestly, like most of us do, searching on Google, jump to YouTube videos, and that can get more confused than before.
So relatable, ma'am. But here's the good news for everyone sitting here today. You don't have to spend endless hours searching for answers anymore.
Really? That already sounds like a relief.
Absolutely. Because for the next 2 days, we have with us 8 eminent speakers sharing insights on 8 beautiful topics on some of the most relevant and practical topics for professionals today.
Wow, that means instead of random online searches, we get direct insights from experts themselves.
Exactly. Structured learning, practical guidance, real-time insights, and expert perspectives all under one roof.
That's amazing. So I can actually gain clarity on areas like appeals, litigations, assessments, etc.
Not just clarity, ma'am, you'll walk away with valuable knowledge on multiple subjects simply by being attentive and making the most of these 2 days.
Now that truly explains why this conference is called Tattva, understanding the essence of knowledge and professional excellence.
Absolutely. This conference is all about moving beyond compliance and learning the real tattva behind professional growth and excellence.
So, ladies and gentlemen,
Get ready for 2 exciting days of learning, interaction, networking, and inspiration.
welcome once again to Tattva 2026. Powerful lineup of insightful and practical sessions designed to add real value to our professional journey. We begin with Where Are We, Where Should We Be and How by CA Murali Krishna Garu, followed by a session on stress and decision making by Sriman Pranavananda Das Garu. Post lunch, we move into two technical sessions on show cause notice, centric analysis by CA Arpit Haldia, and income tax assessments and precautions by CA Falgun Kumar Garu.
Let us now commence the first technical session, stepping in with fresh energy and focused mindset.
I would like to invite CA Murali Krishna Chevuturi from Hyderabad onto the dais. Thought-provoking session on the evolving landscape and opportunities ahead for the profession. I request past Chairman Rajesh Rao Garu along with past Chairman Dr. Nagavalli Garu to kindly present a book bouquet to Murali Krishna Garu. As we look at the rapid trend, an allied professional holding FCA and ACS qualifications alongside an MBA from the University of Pittsburgh. Throughout his distinguished M. Bhaskarrao and Company, his leadership has fundamentally shaped national standards, a former chairman of Vijayawada branch and first person to serve chairman of SARC from Vijayawada. He was a vital member of the core group that drafted India's foreign.
To me, being in Vijayawada is very special. I was born and brought up here. I spent 53 years of my life here in Vijayawada. Though I moved out of Vijayawada, Vijayawada continues to have a very special place. In my interaction with chartered accountants here way back in 1975, it's only natural that it holds a very special place, and coming back to Vijayawada whenever I have an opportunity makes me feel very, very happy to come on this day. I've pulled myself from the midst of board meetings. You know that all listed companies close their accounts and they have to hold their meetings by the 30th of May. Though I stopped attending board meetings or making presentations before the boards, still there are a few commitments that I had to honor and fulfill. So, I told him that I'll be here for this morning session and then have the pleasure of meeting all of you and interacting with all of you. I came here to speak about something, and then when I saw this, the name of the seminar, the conference, sorry, and also the tagline, Beyond Compliance Towards Excellence. Then it came to my mind that it's a good theme that we all ought to discuss. So one of the other things that I also proposed to Jayant was that I'm not going to speak on any academic subject or the technical subject, because there are other people who are more intensely practicing in those areas than me. I don't do any hands-on practice. I don't do any ground level practice. I've stopped doing that a long time ago. And so I said, I'm still very much involved in the philosophy, the conceptualization of many things. It's very, very comfortable to me to be looking more at the concept, the philosophy and the policy making of what the institute should be doing, what all of us should be doing. So that's what I told Jayant about, and I told him that I would like to take all of you along a journey of looking back at what we did, not for too long, but quickly, then understanding where we are, and then collectively trying to think on where we should be and why, and where we want to be and where we should be. And then when I came and saw this, the theme of the seminar, which is Tattva, and with the tagline saying beyond compliance and towards excellence, I decided that I should change my whole narrative and spin it around that theme and the taglines. When I saw this, the first thing that came to my mind was compliance and excellence. Are they two different things? Are they two exclusive things? Or is there anything that connects both of them? My experience has been today, it's my 51st year in the profession. I started off as a 19-year-old article clerk. After finishing my BCom, I came to this profession. I've been always very proud of the fact that I came here wanting to be a chartered accountant. I continued to be a chartered accountant for the remaining years of my life. And it's given me an opportunity to meet, interact, and learn from a lot of people. People who were much, much, much older than me, and then also had the opportunity to interact with people who are much, much, much younger to me. And I must confess that it was a wonderful journey that I've gone through. And today it will be my effort and attempt to also do a little bit of hand-holding and walk all of you through the journey of my thoughts, and whatever remaining journey I have left. I have for all purposes practically left my practice. I don't even hold a certificate of practice anymore. And my journey continues to be as a chartered accountant, but not, as I said, someone who is involved in the nitty-gritty. My preference, as I said again, continues in the areas of policy making, in the areas of theorizing and conceptualizing what the chartered accountant should be doing and what they would be good at doing. The world has changed a lot since chartered accountancy really took life and took shape in the city of Vijayawada. It's always been very vibrant. I found earlier also that chartered accountants in Vijayawada were no less in terms of their capabilities, in terms of their intent, and in terms of their commitment to the profession. But yet, I would like to ask the question whether we have really been where we should have been, whether we've been where we wanted to be, whether we can be where we want to be. I believe the answer to all this is yes. Now, going back to the tagline, the core of what I wanted to speak to you all about is compliance. All of us have started our lives as compliance professionals. We were experts, undoubtedly, in the areas of compliance, which primarily comprises audit and assurance, and also in tax advisory. And in some other areas of advisory matters, we moved from audit. We were the pillars, we were the face of the word audit. All chartered accountants anywhere in the world were the face of the word audit, the profession of audit, and that's what we were known for. And what is audit all about? Audit, when we talk about audit under the Companies Act, we are all creatures of the Companies Act. We are here today because the Companies Act wanted us to be where we are, to do something. So we are creatures of the Companies Act. So are companies, so are most of the other business activities. So when we look at audit, people always thought of chartered accountants as the face of the audit, the very description and personification of the word audit. In such a situation, we were always also, in addition to audit, we were very close advisors to the family of the businessmen, the promoters of the companies, and we did exceedingly well in those areas. There was a time when people, the clients of chartered accountants, of auditors especially, were coming back to seek auditors' advice in every area. Are we doing the same thing still today? And how is the government perceiving that kind of a relationship? Do we still carry the same kind of trust? Do we still carry the same kind of competence? Do we still have the ability to move across generations and continue to retain that confidence and sustain our professions with that kind of relationships? That's a question I would like to leave with you to ponder over, and maybe we can come back to it during the course of my short presence on the stage today. Now, compliance and excellence, as I was asking you, are they two different things? Are they two mutually exclusive things? Let's make this session a little interactive, and if someone would answer my question asking whether compliance and excellence are two different things, whether in the past or in today's context, I'd be very happy if someone shares their thoughts with me. What do you think? Compliance and excellence, are they two different things? Are they independent, or are they dependent, or are they inseparable? That's the question. Can we have compliance without excellence? Can we have excellence by itself and still be compliant? I don't think so. I don't think so, though. See, we have always worked with excellence as the backdrop, whether we were in compliance or not. But in the course of this long journey, Institute is all more than, it's 75 years old now. So where are we so as to make us think that compliance is separate from excellence, or compliance is inadequate, so that we have to move towards a greater step of greater level of excellence? When I started the profession way back in 1975, excellence was insisted upon. It was believed that you could not go forward in your careers without excellence. And I believe today those who are really focused on making sure that compliance is absolute, they cannot do without excellence in the course of compliance. Compliance and excellence are not separate. That should be our Tattva, really. What is Tattva? What is Tattva? Telugulo emantam Tattva ni? Idi vaadi tattvamu ante enti adi? Mindset. Okay. Inka? తత్వం అంటే ఏంటి? చాలా మాటలు సినోనిమ్స్ అయిపోయినాయి. సినోనిమ్స్ కాదు చాలా మాటలు. Character, yes, character is one good way of saying. Character, traits, it's personality.
Philosophy?
Personality. It's a mix of all these things.
Sir, philosophy?
So similarly, Tattvam for the profession as a whole has to be a mix of compliance executed with excellence.
Philosophy, sir. Philosophy.
Philosophy, yes. Your philosophy defines your character. There's no doubt about it. But it's not philosophy alone, because philosophy is what I'm doing, as I said, I'm philosophizing. I'm not doing any hands-on work. It's so long a time since I really put a signature on a piece of paper. I never signed any financial statements, in spite of being in the profession again with a small break for the last 15 years. I've never signed a financial statements. I barely opened my pen. I never use my signature except on the partnership deeds or something that involve me. But my Tattvam never changes. My philosophy continues. So that's because I have a set of people around me, friends like you, my partners, fellow chartered accountants, professionals with whom I interact. They influence my Tattvam, in turn I influence their Tattvam. And I believe that is the excellent side of the compliance that I pursued for a greater part of my life. So they are not separate. Now, taking that, as I said, as the core around which I wanted to spin the narrative, Tattvam is the coming together of compliance with excellence. Now, since I also said the theme of my speech would be, where have we been and where should we be? Let's also say, over this, now I see children, so many chartered accountants of my generation, people who are younger than my children. It's only natural that, based on my experience with fellow chartered accountants, young and old, with so many regulators, with so many clients, so many generations of the clients. I've seen people who were older than my father, with whom I've dealt with, and I'm very proud to say that in my areas of practice, in my years of practice, because of my tattvam, because of my character, because the way I was perceived by the world, I've always had an excellent relation where even the clients that I treated with reverence for their age, for their extraordinary excellence in their business, for their extraordinary business acumen, for the way they were compliant with the rules, for the way they were compliant with the procedures, for the kind of respect they had. I am very fortunate to have experienced that kind of a respect as a professional. I've never had a conflict. Even where there was a conflict, because of my belief in excellence, because of my belief in and conviction in compliance, I was able to convince my clients, people who were much older than me, and later on, even their grandchildren with whom I had a relationship, I was able to convince them that compliance is very, very important because it leads to business excellence. From our side, when we participate in any compliance process, mostly on behalf of the clients, mostly in advising the clients, if you can convince a client, regardless of the age of the client, regardless of the generation of the client, very often it's been my experience that compliance, they very quickly understood that compliance is for them to survive in their business, to excel in their business. I'm very fortunate to have gone through that experience. I know many people who would differ with me, but as I said, adi koka tattvam, adi our tattvam valadi. So combining a focus towards compliance with excellence, and then creating that tattvam in ourselves and also in the people that we deal with is also a very critical trait. A trait is again the tattvam of chartered accountants. And the trait of chartered accountants is to be objective, to be very clear about what we have to do, to be very clear that continuing to be independent, how do you help a client to also meet his objectives? Adimana tattvam, that is compliance combined with excellence. So now let me get back into, from that track, let me get back for a moment into the track that I wanted to first roll on. Over the years, now there are people, I see so many faces who have come from different places, and I've had the fortune to interact with most of them. So many faces are familiar here, except people who have entered in the practice in the last 20 years. It's almost 17, 18 years since I left Vijayawada. And it's very welcoming always to be meeting and speaking to young people, because you are the future of the profession. We are the past of the profession. We are towards the fading side of the profession, which I'm very proud to be a part of, which I enjoyed all these years. Now, in your short journeys, let me call upon some of you who have been my contemporaries and say what we did well, what we think is not happening right, and what we could do to really stay back on the track and to really get back into being compliant at the same time and doing it with excellence. Any one of you, I see quite a few faces, Gangadhar here, Surchandra Rao there, then Prasad, Srinivas Rao of the next generation, Tirupataya again, Satyanand Murthy, Rajeswar, so many people. Chaudhary, who was a little younger to me, Ramchandra Rao. I can name and see so many of you, and it's good. I can also, maybe, I need a little bit of change in my glasses. I just went through a cataract surgery. I'm not able to see the people at the end very clearly. So there would be so many others. And I also see so many young people, people like Sampath who have gone into industry, so many people who have been in the profession, who have been walking different paths, at the same time trying to justify and excel in their roles as chartered accountants. మనం ఏం చేసాం, ఏం చేయటం వల్ల ఇక్కడ ఉన్నాం, ఇంకేమన్నా బాగా చేయవలసిందే, చేయవలసింది ఉంటే అలా చేద్దాం. సింపుల్ క్వశ్చన్స్ ఇన్ ఎనీ లాంగ్వేజ్. ఏం చేశాను, నేనేం చేశానో నా నా ఒపీనియన్ ఏంటో నేను తర్వాత చెప్తాను. ఐ వుడ్ లైక్ పీపుల్ ఐఎమ్ నాట్ హియర్ టు లెక్చర్, లేకపోతే ప్రవచనం చెప్పడానికి రాలేదు నేను ఇక్కడ. It's mutual. Can we cut this noise? I don't need the AC on the stage. Okay. So anybody, let's speak, openly. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to award you marks or no. I'm not going to give you any ranking. It's just thought sharing. Thought sharing, young people.
Sir, now I observe the latest young generation. They are into MSME or FEMA or AICA technologies. They are learning and they are applying and making good career in those areas. Thank you.
Audit rendu saarlu ochindi poyindi. So I can tell you audit. I'm not saying statutory audit. Audit is the only thing that will remain. Because I remember Purushottam Rao meeku antavaraku telusu, M.V. Purushottam Rao Hyderabad lo ఎన్నాళ్ళ నుంచి చాలా నేను ఆర్టికల్స్ చేసేటప్పుడు వచ్చేటవారు. ఆయన very fine professional, very experienced professional, and he was so reputed for, of all things, taking care of search and survey work. Very reputed man. And one thing he always told me, and he always tells me even today, is that at the core of everything he did, he never was participating in audits, he was never signing balance sheets as an auditor, but he was so deeply involved in handling some of the landmark cases in search and survey and income tax. He would say, whatever I do is an audit. When I take up a search and survey, what am I doing? I'm auditing the evidence, I'm auditing the books, I'm auditing the information that's given to me by both sides, the income tax department as well as the client. So my core, నా తత్వం, నేను ఆడిటర్గా ఉన్న నా తత్వం నన్ను హెల్ప్ చేస్తున్నది. ఎలా చేస్తున్నాడు ఆయన? he is complying, or he is helping someone to comply, or trying to bring about people together where somebody is finding gaps, someone has denied those gaps, but he was acting as a bridge to explain to both the sides that where the client thought he was compliant, he was not compliant, where despite the client believing that he is compliant, the income tax department or a government regulator says you are not compliant. He says, in this role that I am playing as a bridge, the only thing I am doing is auditing, so that the result, the output of that audit strength, the audit aptitude with which I executed an assignment, is what really helps me succeed, helps me earn a reputation and the regard from both the sides. And forever, he says, audit is the thing that you have to have a regard. So when you are talking about it, Prasad, I know you're talking about statutory audit. Today, there is a phenomenal progress, phenomenal reach out towards excellence in internal audit. We talk about audit and assurance. Internal audit is not assurance. Internal audit, you don't have to generate a UDIN. Internal audit, you have to go deep. Internal audit, you have to get your hands dirty. Internal audit, you are a real auditor. Most of us, that generation or this generation, have always been focused on internal audit. But like you said, the excellence with which an internal audit has to be done has not really been understood, has not been really interpreted properly, and that's where we lose opportunities. So that's one thing I see as an area which has led us to narrow our path, because we have not taken care to incorporate that excellence into the process that we were involved in as auditors. The second thing that I would also say is the overwhelming chartered accountants ki malli individual ga unna tattvam collective ga unna tattvam kuda entante manam eppudu individual ga untaname manchidi manaki. All these years, people who had the opportunity to practice, people who had the opportunity, once the 21st century stepped in and towards, I would say 21st century, the opportunity to be engaged in employment has multiplied geometrically. Multiplied today, if you look at the percentage of chartered accountants in practice, if you look at the percentage of chartered accountants in industry, that proportion is 4 times the number of chartered accountants in practice are in industry. And chartered accountants are doing anything and everything except performing cardiac surgeries. They're doing anything and everything. You go to the GCC centers in Hyderabad, go there, they're still doing the kind of totaling that my father was doing when he joined his articles in 1952. They're doing it on computers. They're checking the bills that are being raised somewhere on the globe. They don't even know where it's coming from. It's anonymized and it's coming. They're doing it here in India with the aid of tools. They're also advising clients on strategizing, on acquiring businesses, on raising finances, and on doing so many things. There are people who are highly focused on areas exclusive like exports, people who are experts in labor laws, people who are talking about DPDP Act, all these things. So the excellence in a way has diversified, as Prasad was saying. So in this process, is there compliance? Yes, there is compliance. And why are the chartered accountants being chosen to perform these acts? It's because they are accepted and respected as compliance professionals. Now the question before us is whether we are doing that work with excellence, the compliance work with excellence, and having accepted that anything that we do is oriented towards compliance. Are we doing it with excellence? That's a question that all of us have to ask. So in the course of expressing my opinion based on my experience, in case I say something that's conflicting with someone's feelings or emotions, please don't take it amiss. I'm saying this only based on my experience and on my belief that this is the best possible way. మన తత్వం ఏంటి? నా ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ నన్ను ఒక ప్రొఫెషనల్గా మౌల్డ్ చేస్తుంది. దాన్ని నేను చేసింది కాన్షియస్గా నేను గనక కంప్లయన్స్ని నేను ఎక్సలెంట్గా చేశాను అని నమ్మకం ఉంటే I also would be very happy to share it with the others. So again, what is it that makes our profession as individuals, our professionals and the profession as a whole feel so limited that they don't have the confidence? Over the years, these are my observations. I've been in this profession for 3 generations now, and I feel the major limitation, major tattvanlo lopam, deficiency in the mindset, if you call it the mindset, deficiency in the character, deficiency in the traits, is the unwillingness of chartered accountants to come together and work as a growing family, professional family of chartered accountants. Move on from individual practices to larger practices. Continuing to be individual practices, how do you interact with others? How do you form a network? How do you really learn from the others? How do you share your knowledge from the others? Why are we so secretive? Why are we so insecure? Why do we believe that we cannot cope with the others? Why do you believe that others cannot cope with you? There's always there are 2 versions in the minimum to every issue. So we have to look at every possible issue with a clear understanding of the fact that if you want to move towards excellence in your compliance practice or any of the other practices also, if you are really into it, you have to understand that it's impossible. You look into history, look into the epics. There is no act that's been carried out with just 2 hands and a head. Never. Never. You take anybody. Sri Ramudu enadu kuda okkadem cheyaledu. He literally had to go and seek the help of so many people, so many animals, so many creatures to really get his objective. That was what the epics have taught us. Sri Krishna ayanantata ayana em cheyaledu, asalu emi cheyaledu, except he was strategizing, he was building up a team, he was standing on the side of what was right to be an example. Sri Krishna emi cheyaledu. So mano ade very soon after that era we have come into existence, and we have been in this profession for a whole era, set by so many presidents. Today we are the largest profession of accountants in the world. We are the only country in the world which has extensively set standards. We started converging with standards. Accounting standards were brought into India. The Ind AS has come into India. As for what reason? Why did Ind AS come into India? Ind AS came into India because we were required to comply. We were required to comply with our agreements, our covenants with the World Trade Organization when we opted for liberalization under Mr. P.V. Narasimha Rao and Mr. Manmohan Singh, where they said you have to do some very radical reforms. In the business area, the major reform that was in the policy and the governance area, the major reform that was carried out throughout the country was the electricity reforms. The second thing that happened was converging Indian accounting policies and standards with the global accounting standards. Most of the countries simply copied the IFRS. Indians had the wisdom, Indians had the ability, Indians had the understanding of what was the business, what was the professional requirement, despite the varied and diverse size of the businesses in India. We were able to convince the WTO, and we took it upon ourselves not to copy but to converge with IFRS, and we named them Ind AS to suit them to the business requirements. Not one other country has done that. So these are all landmark achievements of our profession as a whole and the institute as a whole, and the government's respect for the profession. Does that still continue? Do we still enjoy the confidence and the trust and the respect of the government? That's a question that we have to ask. If we ask that question, we also have to ask ourselves the question as to who is responsible for what part of that change, for the better or the worse. That's what we should also ask ourselves. So in that process again, if we come back to our ability to work together and our inability to not to work together, my experience has been that this again, ఈ తత్వం మారాలి చార్టెడ్ అకౌంటెంట్స్లో, ముఖ్యంగా నెక్స్ట్ జనరేషన్స్లో ఇవాళ ఉన్న పరిస్థితుల్లో I'm very sorry to see that even in a place like Vijayawada, which had chartered accountants in a very strong presence, chartered accountants in Vijayawada were among the most respected lot. We were even ahead of the chartered accountants in Hyderabad. There were only 2 branches of the institute in combined Andhra Pradesh initially for a long time. When I joined in 75, I think the branches came in later. We were seen as very respected people by the government. We were also seen as people who could advise compliance, who could advise in such a way that any non-compliance was very amicably and with minimum cost rectified. So at that stage, we were also very familiar with a set of professionals or quasi-professionals who were called tax practitioners. I have no disrespect for them. I have immense respect for them. I have dealt with many, many tax practitioners. And another set of people, these tax practitioners, when you call them tax practitioners, they were mostly focused on Income Tax Act, Direct Taxes Act. And in those days, direct tax was not limited to income tax. There was income tax, there was wealth tax, there was gift tax, there was estate duty, there was super profits tax. There was all kinds of tax where chartered accountants really steered their clients through the maze of statutory regulation, where out of every rupee earned by a client, 95% of the 95 paise were taken away by the government in the name of taxation. They helped them structure their businesses, they helped them structure their holdings, they helped them steer from one set of regulations which moved them from one way of governance to another way of governance. There was what was called management agency system, which was abolished under the 1950s Act. It was chartered accountants who guided them. When sales tax, which was the domain of barely qualified people. When it moved into the VAT system, the Commissioner of Sales Tax for the state of Andhra Pradesh, he convened a meeting of all the chartered accountants, realizing that they were the only people who could understand and then help the transition and sustenance of this VAT system. And when it came to GST, chartered accountants today are the only people who are applying chartered accounting GST provisions across the country. And there again, that is compliance. What is the excellence part of it? Today GST is the mother of all statutes, mother of all revenues, and it is the mother of all databases. It's the mother of all databases. You ask any GST, if you can get it accepted in a database, you will get your entire history, you will get your, including your blood group and your medical reports. Anywhere you go under the GST Act, ask any revenue officer, he will say he is relying upon the GST database. Census is going to be linked to the GST database. Household incomes are being linked to the GST database. And they can very easily trace who is spending what and on what. It's the kind of information that's available at the behest of the request or at the diktat of the government is unbelievable. The government knows more information about our clients than all of us know together. So in such a situation, what is left for excellence? Are we compliant? Yes, we are compliant because most of the information is anyway given by the GST portal. I'm saying this because any chartered accountant that I speak to, they're saying they're mostly into GST. They're mostly into this. I'm not really hearing people saying, I do internal audits of mention. I'm doing this kind of advisory work. Prasad is saying they're all interested in moving away from statutory audit. But are they doing anything that would continue to bring them the kind of excellence that would make them stand out from the rest of the crowd? Or are we simply flowing with the current? If you really want to be someone who will be recognized, you have to be different. I'll give you one example. All of you either have met or interacted or heard the name of T.N. Manoharan. How many of you have met him? How many of you have heard of him? Yeah, see, such a large majority. T.N. Manoharan was a sole practitioner in a very niche area, very niche area. His first niche area was academic dissemination of information. He was a very sought after teacher of income tax. Why did he do it? It's not because he did not have money. He did it because he wanted his continuing professional education. And he learnt so much more as a teacher than as a student. That's what he always used to say. So CPE programs either like this or anything else are not something to be taken lightly. Please take them very, very seriously. They're very serious. I'm not canvassing for the institute, let me tell you. I have nothing, I have no mandate from the institute. These are all based on my experience. Before getting onto the stage, I was talking to Rajeswar and Srinivas Rao and Sachiran Murthy. That's what we are talking about, CPE programs. Why are they not being taken seriously? When you have an opportunity to listen to people from across the country, sometimes from across the world, why is it that people do not pay attention to it? Why is it that they still keep twiddling their thumbs on the mobile phones? Why is it that they stand outside and keep chatting? What are they doing outside? You're here to learn, you're paid hard-earned money towards this, and you're losing an opportunity to understand so much. So, అది ఎప్పుడు వస్తుంది మనకి మనమే కాదు మిగతా వాళ్ళతో కలిస్తే నేను అన్నవాడిని ఇంకో 10 మెట్లు పెరుగుతాను 10 మెట్లు ఎక్కుతాను అన్న ఆలోచన ఉన్నప్పుడే మనకు వస్తుంది. సిపిఈ ప్రోగ్రామ్స్లో ఉన్న ఉద్దేశం కూడా అదే, వేర్ యూ లెర్న్ ఇండివిజువలీ, వేర్ యూ లెర్న్ కలెక్టివ్లీ, వేర్ యూ గెట్ అన్ ఆపర్చునిటీ టు లిసన్ టు డిఫరెంట్ ఒపీనియన్స్, డిఫరెంట్ పాయింట్స్ ఆఫ్ వ్యూ, టు షేర్ డిఫరెంట్ మైండ్ సెట్, డిఫరెంట్ తత్వాలని మనం చూడగలుగుతాం, మనుషులను చూడగలుగుతాం. ఒకరిని చూస్తే ఓ వీడి ఇంతవరకు మనం ఎందుకు కలవలేదు, ఇప్పుడు ఎందుకు కలుస్తున్నాం, హౌ ఈజ్ ఈ ఏబుల్ టు లెర్న్ సో మచ్, వీడి అప్రోచ్ ఎలాగా ఉన్నది, ఈజ్ దేర్ సంథింగ్ దట్స్ రియలీ ఇంప్రెసివ్ అబౌట్ హిమ్ that has really influenced me, can I learn that? So it's not just those petty things that you want to earn as CPE credits in the hope that you'll get a branch audit, which let me tell you 2030 is going to end all that stuff. You don't have to go and influence anybody to get your bank audit because there will not be a bank audit. The total number of banks in India is going to be reduced to 4 banks, public sector banks. Private sector banks don't have branch audits. Private sector banks have 2 statutory audits at the central level. And each statutory auditor earns at least 1.5 crores, no matter what level of the bank is. No public sector bank pays you that. Branch audits, what you get for branch audits is not what you deserve. You are meant for something more. So you limit. మన తత్వం అలా తయారైపోయింది. ఎందుకైంది? ఎందుకంటే నేను 2 జల్లుతో ఇంతే చేయగలను, ఇంతకంటే చేయలేను అన్న ఉద్దేశం వల్ల మనం అలా ఆగిపోయాం. There was a president called Mr. Manoj Fadnis. Since they were already there, I'm telling you, when he became the president of the institute, he was the predecessor of Devasraj Reddy. హైదరాబాద్ వచ్చారు వాళ్ళు. హైదరాబాద్ వస్తే ప్రెసిడెంట్ని ఫెలిసిటేట్ చేయడానికి పిలిచాము. పిలిస్తే ఆయన మాట్లాడితే ప్రెసిడెంట్ ఆఫ్ ది ఇన్స్టిట్యూట్ వస్తే ఒక ఆయన పెద్దవారు, ఆయన అప్పటికే 65 ఏళ్ళు ఉండుంటాయి ఆయనకి. Mr. President, I did not get a bank branch audit. So when you don't get a branch audit, he said, there are reasons. The criteria that are followed by the institute are very clearly defined. It's not just because someone likes my face, they give me the audit. Someone don't like someone else's face, they don't give them the audit. When he saw this gentleman, he said, how long have you been in practice? He said, I've been here for 3 years. What were you doing earlier? I was working in a PSU. So, being the president and having faced so many people, he said, next, what is the size of your team? He said, I have no team. నేను ఏకలవ్యుణ్ణి అన్నాడు ఆయన. నువ్వు ఏకలవ్యుడు అయితే నీకు వేయటానికి బాణం వేయడానికి వేలే లేదు కదయ్యా, నువ్వు అన్నీ మోయలేవు కదా, 65 ఏళ్ళు నీకు ఎలా చేస్తావంటే, మేము ఎలా బతకాలండి అంటే నేనేం చెప్తాను అన్నాడు ఆయన. దట్ ఈస్ సంథింగ్ దట్ యూ హ్యావ్ టు సీ. So it's because he was not willing to share with others, he was not willing to go and join as a partner with others, that he was there. With all his experience, he was willing to go and share his time and genuinely be involved. He doesn't have to go and stand before somebody and say, I did not get this. This is something I think I deserve. You don't have to compromise your dignity. You don't have to compromise on anything as an individual after so many years of excellence in compliance or in whatever it is. You can still do it. You could have still done it with teamwork. That's one of the very important things that we have to keep in mind. And especially the next generation, you guys will not simply survive unless as individual practitioners. Let me be very blunt. I'm intentionally being blunt. You will not survive. You will simply be qualified clerks. You cannot distinguish between your own article clerks and your own yourself as a growing qualified professional. You have to come together. You have, for any reason, for any justification, with any experience, you have to come together. Sole practice is dead or is on the deathbed. You have to come together. It's also very important for the survival of the profession. You have to start liking people, whether you like their faces or not. You have to start depending on the people. You have to come together. Teamwork is going to be the only way that you can do it. You get a feedback from any number of the banks. You get a feedback from any number of regulators. The kind of feedback that we are getting today, because of our relationship and because of the long-standing experience in the profession, I've had this opportunity to interact. I'm sure you will also have the opportunity to interact. The same set of people who were saying at one time, they were saying, we need something, call the auditor, call the chartered accountant, call this set of people. They no longer are saying with the same confidence and with the same trust that chartered accountants can be consulted, chartered accountant advice can be sought. That's not happening. Why? Because the needs, today's needs are so diverse. Today's diverse needs are also complicated. They are interwoven. So you have to have multidisciplinary skills in a very dynamic environment, in an environment where India is seen as one of the most dynamic and aggressively growing economies in the world. And we are also being seen as a set of highly resilient economies. When most of the economies of the yesteryear are failing, Indians are surviving, not somehow. They're surviving because of their determination. They're surviving because we have a set of people who have the necessary skills. So are all those skills available in one place? That's what a businessman wants. Do we have the ability to look at everything in a multi-dimensional 360-degree perspective? No, definitely no. That's the need of the moment, and the question that I am asking is, are we ready for the need of the moment? The only way, in my opinion, by which we can be ready for the moment is coming together. Accepting that coming together is a better way of practicing than practicing singly. What is the word that comes to your mind when I say this? What is the word that comes from English? What is the word that comes to your mind when we say that the benefit that we get by coming together is more than the sum of the individual elements in a team? Synergy, right? I'm glad you're saying it as a young lady. So synergy is the need of the moment. So if you don't synergize with absolute conviction, with the belief that synergy is possible only when we come together, and our resources are also limited, and we have lost a certain amount of time in pursuing this process. If we don't do it quickly, we will lose individually, we will lose collectively. And that is something that we have to understand, and we have no other opportunity or no other option but to come together and work together towards compliance, towards excellence, and towards reaping the benefits of synergy. So this is something that we have to keep in mind. And we also have to understand that time is running on a fast pace. We need to really do something. Prasad, I'll take your question. Just give me a minute. I'm almost ready to.
Supplementing, sir. I am supplementing.
Sorry?
I am supplementing.
Yeah, you can do it once I'm done. Thank you so much. See, the other thing that I also see, I hope decreasingly among the younger chartered accountants, I really love the statement that Prasad had said, that people are getting into newer areas. My piece of advice with a lot of encouragement and optimism in my heart that all chartered accountants can succeed in whatever they're doing is, do whatever you do, pursue it with excellence. Anything, as I said, because I continue to believe for the rest of my life that no matter what you do, you are doing it well because you are trained to be an auditor. And as I said, audit is going to be the nerve center of anything that we do, and it's going to also be the best source of support for us. Now, there are other two areas which have really disturbed me over the years, and slowly the opportunity, the whole scenario is also changing, but still I feel a little disappointed that we are looking to two bodies for doing anything in our work. First is the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. It is not the mandated or obligated business of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India to help you develop your practice. Whatever the Institute has done so far is because of its benevolent attitude, because of its belief that the chartered accountants need that hand-holding. While it is doing it, that is, again, not in compliance with its mandate, not in compliance with its constitution or the code that governs it, but out of the goodwill, out of the belief that we are all a family, and unless we do the hand-holding, the family, an ever-growing family, cannot survive. Normally, you never have control over more than one generation. Institute has been holding the hands of its individual practitioners for more than 5 generations now. 5 generations have passed in the last 75 years. And if any of you youngsters still believe that you can look to the Institute, please understand that the Institute represents nothing but our own collective will, our own collective dignity, and we can only consolidate and improve upon the dignity of the profession by ourselves acting individually and collectively with dignity. So that I again go back onto the previous subject that I was discussing. Now, what is the perception of the world today? Nobody is taking the chartered accountant seriously because they have stopped pursuing excellence, in my opinion. They are so decentralized today. The number is very large, which is very good because we are ensuring our future as chartered accountants by the sheer numbers. But how do we act with dignity? How do we act with decency? How do we act in the common interest is a question that we have to ask ourselves. During the COVID period, we embarked upon the project of drafting the forensic accounting and investigation standards. Most of you may not know, but more than 10,000 man days were spent without a single physical meeting. People from across the country, from every corner of the country, people who had experience again in our capabilities as compliance professionals, as people who understand the game of audit and assurance, people who understand the law of interpretation, the art of interpretation. Ivanni kuda mana tattvam, that's what makes up our tattvam. So when we were doing it, while if you notice the forensic accounting standards were they were drafted within the shortest period of time ever in the history of any standards. They were the first standards to be drafted in consultation with such a large number of people. The first major forensic standards anywhere in the world. So many people were involved, and not a single physical meeting, but hours together of online meetings. Thanks to COVID, which disrupted so many things, but yet brought in enormous benefits. There, we were discussing two words. What is behavior? What is conduct? Tattvam enti? Evarna cheppandi. Behavior ante enti? Conduct ante enti? Prasad, meer cheppandi ippudu. Behavior ante enti? Conduct ante enti? Avuna? Behavior ante pravartana 100% correct. మన నడిచే విధానం, మన నడత లాంటి మన తెలుగు భాషలో ఉన్న గొప్పతనం ఏంటంటే ప్రతి మాటకి ఎంత ఎవాల్వ్ లాంగ్వేజ్ అంటే కనీసం 6 ఉంటాయి. మీరు ఆలోచిస్తుండే నేను మీకు దానికి ఒక ఎగ్జాంపుల్ చెప్తాను. అసురులు అంటే ఎవరు? రాక్షసులు అంటే ఎవరు? అసురులు. విష్ణు సహస్రనామం చదువుతారా మీరు? విష్ణు సహస్రనామంలో చివరిలో ససురాసుర గంధర్వం ససురాసుర గంధర్వం సయక్షోరుగ రాక్షసం అని ఉంటుంది. ఒకే లైన్లో వేదవ్యాసుడు అసురుడు రాక్షసులను ఎందుకంటాడు? మన వేదవ్యాసుడు వంక ఎత్తి తలెత్తి చూడగలమా? అసురులంటే రాక్షసులంటే ఆయన ఊరినే సరదాగా అనలేదు కదా, సినిమా పాట కాదు కదా. వేదవ్యాసుడు అంతటి మేధావి. వేదవ్యాసుడు అంటే బుద్ధికి స్వరూపం కదా. అసురులు రాక్షసులు అని ఎందుకన్నారండి? వేదవ్యాసుడు అన్నారండి, దానిలో అర్థం ఉంటుంది కదా. అంటే ఆయన ఏమన్నాడు తెలుసా? అసురుల తత్వం వేరు, రాక్షసుల తత్వం వేరు నాయన అన్నాడు ఆయన. సో తత్వం మనందరం చార్టెడ్ అకౌంటెంట్స్మే. గుప్తా తత్వం గుప్తాకు ఉంటుంది, ప్రసాద్ తత్వం ప్రసాద్కు ఉంటుంది, రామ్మోహన్ తత్వం రామ్మోహన్కు ఉంటుంది. మన అందరి తత్వాలు కలిసి మనం తీసుకొస్తేనే మనకి ఎక్సలెన్స్ వస్తుంది. అందరి తత్వాలు కలిసి మనకి ఇండివిజువల్గా మన తత్వం బట్టి మనకి రికగ్నిషన్ వస్తుంది. అందరిది కలిపితే ప్రొఫెషనల్గా ఇన్స్టిట్యూట్కి వస్తుంది. సో గోయింగ్ బ్యాక్ టు బిహేవియర్ అండ్ కాండక్ట్. బిహేవియర్ అంటే మేము ఒక కంక్లూషన్కి వచ్చాం. ఇలాగే చాలా చర్చించి ఒక కంక్లూషన్కి వచ్చాం. బిహేవియర్ అంటే ఏంటి? సంపత్ నువ్వన్నట్టు ప్రవర్తన, నడత. సంపత్ ప్రవర్తన సంపత్కు ఉంటుంది, బిహేవియర్ ప్రసాద్కు ఉంటుంది, సత్యనారాయణమూర్తి బిహేవియర్ సత్యనారాయణమూర్తికి ఉంటుంది. బట్ కాండక్ట్ అంటే ఏమిటి అనుకున్నామంటే సంపత్ బిహేవియర్ని ప్రపంచం ఎలా చూస్తుంది అన్నది అది కాండక్ట్. అర్థమైందే? సంపత్ నేను మహా మంచివాడిని, లేకపోతే నేను మిగతా వాళ్ళంత మంచివాడిని కాదు, నాకు మిగతా వాళ్ళంత కేబుల్ కాను అని నీ భావాలు నీకు ఉండొచ్చు. బట్ అది నీ బిహేవియర్ని ఇన్ఫ్లుయెన్స్ చేసే నీ తత్వం. కాండక్ట్ ఏంటంటే నేను బయట నుంచి చూస్తే ఎలా కనిపిస్తాడు సంపత్, ఎలా బిహేవ్ చేస్తాడు. నువ్వు వేసుకునే డ్రెస్ కాదు, నువ్వు తలదూకునే పద్ధతి కాదు, నువ్వు ఎలా నీ దస్తూరి కాదు, నువ్వేం చేస్తావు, నువ్వు కనపడుతుంటే బయట వాళ్ళు నేను ఎలా పర్సీవ్ చేస్తున్నారు, అది కాండక్ట్. కాండక్ట్ అంటే ఏంటి? హౌ యూ కండక్ట్ యువర్ సెల్ఫ్. హౌ యూ కండక్ట్ యువర్ సెల్ఫ్ ఈజ్, యాజ్ ఫార్ as you are concerned, it's behavior. We had to do this exercise because there was a lot of behavioral science that was discussed during the course of framing the forensic standards, because it's more of the mind than of the deeds. Fraud is all about how you deal with the mind. Read Chanakya's Arthashastra and then understand that all our forensic standards are already there in Chanakya's Arthashastra. Read it. Telugulo unnai beautiful books. ఈ పుల్లెల శ్రీరామచంద్రుడు గారు రాసినవి ఉన్నాయి, అలాగే ఇంగ్లీష్లో ఉన్నాయి. ఇంగ్లీష్ తెలుగు రాని వాళ్ళు ఎవరైనా ఉంటే విజయవాడలో ఎవరు ఉండరు అనుకుంటాను, అలా చేయొచ్చు. I'll close my presentation with just my assessment of the behavior of the people, because ultimately my mission here was to say what we should do to really move towards achieving excellence, towards growing together, towards growing in our individual professions or collectively. See, how many of you here, I hate to ask questions saying how many of you do you know and all that, because I believe that I'm talking to reasonably enlightened individuals, but this is a question just for information and statistics. How many of you here are first-time chartered accountants in your families? Majority, right? Okay. How many of you are not first-time chartered accountants in your families? Durga Prasad, nu cheyattuko. 3, 4, నువ్వు ఎవరమ్మా ఇవ్వమ్మా? లింగమూర్తి కోడలువా కూతురువా? ఓకే. సో ఓకే, యువర్ డాడ్ వాజ్ ఎ ఫస్ట్ జనరేషన్ చార్టెడ్ అకౌంటెంట్. ఎస్. ఇంకెవరున్నారు? ఇంకెవరు ఫస్ట్ జనరేషన్ చార్టెడ్ అకౌంటెంట్స్, సెకండ్ జనరేషన్ చార్టెడ్ అకౌంటెంట్స్ ఎంతమంది ఉన్నారు? నువ్వెవరబ్బా ఇవి? సుబ్బారాయుడు కొడుకు. కరెక్ట్ కరెక్ట్ కరెక్ట్, నీతో మాట్లాడాను. ఇంకెవరున్నారు? సో most of you have not had the benefit of having someone to guide you, yet you came into this profession and survived all these years reasonably well. Why? Because of various reasons you continue to be in the profession. You chose to get into practice and you continue to be in this profession, and you've also done well because of a certain degree of excellence you've demonstrated, either in building the teams, either or in working with a certain degree of excellence. And I can tell you, most of you may or may not agree with me, but I just want to help you recall your mindset, మీ తత్వం. మీరు ప్రొఫెషన్లోకి ఎంటర్ అయినప్పుడు ఫస్ట్ జనరేషన్ చార్టెడ్ అకౌంటెంట్స్, మీ ఇద్దరు పిల్లలకి ఉండకపోవచ్చు, దుర్గా ప్రసాద్కి అసలు ఉండకపోవచ్చు, బికాజ్ ఈ ఆల్రెడీ సీన్ ది అదర్ సైడ్ ఆఫ్ the experience also. మీరు గుండెల మీద చేసుకుని చెప్పండి, సిఏ పాస్ అయినప్పుడు నా అంత వాడు లేడన్నారా మీ ఇంట్లో, మీ ఫ్యామిలీస్లో అందరూ అన్నారా లేదా? అరే వీడు సిఏ పాస్ అయ్యాడు రా అన్న. సిఏ పాస్ అయ్యాడు. అందుకని అప్పటికి మోస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ద పీపుల్ ఆల్రెడీ న్యూ దట్ సిఏ, ఇఫ్ యూ హ్యాడ్ టు పాస్ యువర్ సిఏ, యూ హ్యాడ్ టు డూ డాంకీస్ వర్క్. సో వీడు మొండిగా పని చేయగలడు, చాకరీ చేయగలడు అని అందరికీ తెలిసిపోయింది అప్పుడు. ఎందుకంటే చాలామంది సీఏలోకి వచ్చేవాళ్ళు కాదు, వాళ్ళ అమ్మలు నాన్నలు రానిచ్చేవాళ్ళు కాదు. ఎందుకంటే వీడికి పెళ్లి చేయాల్సి వస్తుంది, అప్పటికి వీడు సీఏ పాస్ కాడు. నా కూతురికి సీఏ పాస్ కాకపోతే దానికి పెళ్ళే కాదు అన్న భయం వచ్చేసేది అప్పటికి. మా జనరేషన్లో దట్ వాజ్, ఈవెన్ ద నెక్స్ట్ జనరేషన్ దట్ వాజ్ ద ట్రూత్. అండ్ వెన్ యూ కేమ్ అవుట్ ఇన్ టు ద వరల్డ్, వాట్ వాజ్ ద రియల్ షాకింగ్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ దట్ యూ హ్యాడ్? Again, cross your hearts and say, honestly, గుండెల మీద చేసుకుని ఆలోచించింది. వాట్ వాజ్, see, that was such an elevating experience. అరే అసలు ఇన్నాళ్ళలో మాలో కొంతమంది మీరు ఫస్ట్ టైం గ్రాడ్యుయేట్స్ కూడా అయి ఉంటారు. సిఏ వదిలేయండి, సిఏ పాస్ అయ్యాడంటే వాడు అక్కడ వాడు వెరీ సూపర్ స్టార్. వీడు సిఏ పాస్ అయ్యాడంటే వీడు ఇంకేముంది, అసలు వీడు దేవేంద్రుడితో లెక్క. బయటికి రాగానే ఏం చెప్తారు? నువ్వు వస్తే ఇదంతా ఎప్పుడు కోచింగ్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్స్ రాకముందు, కోచింగ్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్లో ఉండి డమ్మీ ఆర్టికల్స్ తీసుకోకముందు, ఏమీ తెలియకుండా సీఏ పాస్ అయినప్పుడు. ఇక్కడ ఉన్న వాళ్ళలో సగం మంది కోచింగ్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్స్కి వెళ్ళి ఉంటారు, డమ్మీ ఆర్టికల్స్ చేసి ఉంటారు, ఏమీ తెలియకుండా సీఏకి వచ్చి ఉంటారు. నేను నిర్మోహమాటంగా చెప్తున్నాను, ఎవరు ఏమన్నా అనుకున్నాను, ఎందుకంటే దట్స్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్. నో ఇంటెన్షన్ టు డిమీన్ ఎనీబడి. ఆ రోజుల్లో కూడా బయటికి రాగానే ఏమంటారు? వచ్చి సీఏ పాస్ అయ్యాడు. ఏంటి, ఎక్కడ మీటింగ్లకు వెళ్తే నేను సీఏ పాస్ అయ్యాను, 20 degrees గాలి తీసేసి ఉంటాను. నువ్వు వెళ్ళి అక్కడ ఉద్యోగం అడిగితే ఏంటి ఇది సింపుల్ థింగ్, డిప్రిసియేషన్ రేట్ ఎంత, డిప్రిసియేషన్ రేట్ ఏంటండి, కొనుక్కోక్కర్లేదు కదా డిప్రిసియేషన్ అంటే 50%కి పడిపోతుంది. తర్వాత ఇంకెక్కడికో వెళ్తే ఇంకేదో అడుగుతారు, ఇన్కమ్ ట్యాక్స్ ఈ సిచ్యువేషన్ ఏంటి, కంపెనీలో నాకు ఉద్యోగం వస్తుందని వెళ్తే ఇంకేదో ఈ సిచ్యువేషన్లో ఏం అప్లికబుల్ రేట్ ఏంటంటే అయిపోయింది. దాంతో నువ్వు అప్పుడు కాళ్ళు నేల మీద అంతాయి. సో ఆ స్టేట్ నుంచి వచ్చి మీరు ఇన్నాళ్ళు అంటే వాట్ ఈస్ ఇట్ దట్ డ్రోవ్ యూ? ఇట్స్ యువర్ డిటర్మినేషన్, ఇట్స్ యువర్ కన్విక్షన్ దట్ ప్రొఫెషనల్ క్వాలిఫికేషన్ విల్ టేక్ యూ ఫార్వర్డ్. So how do you take yourselves forward even better? I want to conclude by saying you can do better only in two ways. One is by teaming up. You cannot continue to excel unless you are a network, whether you call it a firm, whether you call it a network, an association, and in most preferred partners or whatever it is. You call it by any name, good, bad, ugly, anything. Second thing is, today why are most of you still depending on GST work? Why are you depending on it? For the simple reason, as an auditor, you need information. And unbiased, reliable information is coming from the government departments, even income tax. The entire return is populated today. So you have no opportunity to deny it. What the client did not tell you last year, if you go back into the income tax portal, income tax department is giving you more information than what the client gave you. Then you realize what a donkey you have been to rely on your client. And GST, as I said, is the mother of all databases, and it drives the entire information world today in India. So the second thing is complete drive to incorporate technology into your professional lives. Without technology, you're going to be a professional tomorrow. It's very, very important. See, the other day, this will be my last sentence. I went to meet a very young couple, both are from Vijayawada. They studied in Siddhartha Public School. Both are below 40, wife and husband, both are engineers. They have set up a company which manufactures earbuds and sound bars, which you normally see under the TV. You should go and see their factory. Absolute state of the art. And they have adopted Zoho Suite for all their functions in the company. And they realized that because of the expanding operations, the flow of information was not adequate to make them up to date. They are completely B2C, no intermediaries, only online selling. They are a 300 crore company, completely owned by them. They have a debt portfolio, and they have a 1 lakh square foot manufacturing facility. And they're building an equivalent facility adjacent to that. You can just imagine, with at least another 30, 40 years ahead in their lives, what is the kind of opportunity they're foreseeing. They're saying, they were telling me that with regard to this, they have developed internally, because they are experts, they have the expertise, they have developed a set of tools, AI-based tools, which provide all the information, which is ultimately fed into Zoho Suite. It's not a replacement. The information is fed into the Zoho Suite to make it absolutely real time and available for any regulator, because they still have to produce their P&L, balance sheet, cash flow, and change in equity. So that is the kind of technology even technology-driven companies are infusing. And if you're not up to date, what are we doing? We're losing an opportunity to be able to serve with them, to be contemporary in the eyes of those people. So these two things are very, very important. That's what we have to do. As I said, there could be many, many other ways to look at, many other things to look at, but these things are absolute must. So it's really, been a pleasure coming and sharing my thoughts. I do not know if I've stepped on the toes of the next speaker. I think I've been speaking more about philosophy, conduct, behavior, Sri Krishna's words and all that. But the fact remains that if we want to really excel in our core competence of compliance, these are the ways that we have to really think about. I'd be very happy to share the minds of many of you after the session. I have some more time before I can leave the hall. I'd be very, very happy. And I'm sure there are many more equally valuable thoughts that I can share from everybody. And I really thank Jayant and his team for asking me to be here. And it's been an absolute pleasure, and it will be an absolute pleasure to come to Vijayawada anytime for the rest of my life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your time, your wisdom, and your continued mentorship to the professional community. Dear members, please join your hands in expressing our heartfelt gratitude to Murali Krishna Garu. And we express our gratitude to Murali Krishna Garu.